Please be seated.
Good morning. My name is Mary Archer, and I have the honour to be the Chancellor of the University. And in that capacity, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all, graduates, faculty, friends and family, to this ceremony for the conferment of degrees. Looking at the graduates, today is a very special occasion for you, and indeed for those who have taught you. Attaining your degree from the University of Buckingham is a real achievement and something of which you will always be proud. You've enjoyed the benefits of a very high standard of teaching and personal attention from dedicated staff, and I know you will have studied hard to achieve your goals. Some of you may have worked more at a distance than on the campus, but I hope you've all had the opportunity to be a part of the diverse and multicultural student body that we have here at the university, which will have introduced you to people, experiences, traditions, and cultures from across the world. You are the latest in a long and lengthening line of distinguished graduates from the University of Buckingham. As you look back on your time here and remember the support and encouragement you received, we hope you will act as ambassadors for your university and continue to burnish our outstanding reputation. I congratulate each and every one of you and wish you all good fortune in your future careers. Thank you.
Dame Mary Archer, Chancellor, Lord Lingfield, Lady Lingfield, distinguished honorary graduand, Dr. Laszlo Lang, Dean of Education, Professor Barnaby Lennon, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Harriet Dunbar-Morris, distinguished other members of faculty, distinguished guests from town and county, distinguished families and friends of the graduands, those graduating today, and of course, to you as graduands of this university, congratulations. And you and your loved ones can rightfully be proud of your achievements that have brought you here today. You've worked hard, sometimes under difficult circumstances. Many of you I know part-time, and you have earned the honours which we bestow upon you this morning, this bright, sunny morning in Buckingham. Now, you are graduating from the University of Buckingham in 2024, which is the 50th anniversary of the laying of our foundation stone, which was laid by Lord Hailsham on the 4th of May, 1974. And as we go down to the marquee after this ceremony, you can see the foundation stone just round the corner from the Vincent building. So the University College, the foundation stone was laid in 1974, and 2 years later, in 1976, we opened to our first students, and the matriculation ceremony was took place here in this very place and was conducted and led by one Margaret Thatcher, and who stood on this very spot where I'm standing now and gave the first matriculation speech. Now, like her or loathe her, what an extraordinary feat. I think we all have to acknowledge what an extraordinary feat Margaret Thatcher represented. She was the first female leader of the Conservative Party, first leader of Her Majesty's Loyal Opposition. And when she came to speak here, she had recently given a press interview which said something like, "There will not be a woman prime minister in my lifetime. The male population is simply too prejudiced," she said. And of course, just a few years later, in 1979, she became the first woman prime minister and the longest-serving prime minister of the 20th century. And so at Buckingham, we are able to stand on the shoulders of giants like her, trailblazer And she exemplified values which we can hold dear to of leadership, resilience, and unwavering determination. We can draw inspiration from her example. I mention her in some detail there because she had a long relationship with this university, right from that moment in 1976 when she welcomed the first students to eventually becoming a much-loved Chancellor of the university, as Dame Mary is to this day a much-loved Chancellor of our university. So today, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to you, and you're all graduating in some way or other in the discipline of education. And this is particularly exciting to me because my life's work has been in education, and as an academic, my discipline was indeed education policy and philosophy of education. Looking at you now, I remember parts of my own journey as an educator. I started as a secondary school mathematics teacher in Zimbabwe from 1983 to 1986. I went there shortly after that new country became independent, and I wanted to help build that Marxist-Leninist regime under Comrade Robert Mugabe. And after 3 years there, I returned to England and I did research in mathematics education for the NFER, the National Foundation for Educational Research, and then undertook research for my PhD at what is now the UCL Institute of Education. But it's lovely, and thinking about your own lives, it's lovely the way things sometimes work out serendipitously without planning, but for various reasons from the knowledge and experiences I picked up in my work. My life's work became focused on addressing educational injustices around the world, specifically looking at the educational problems and solutions in the poorest slums in the world, most notably in some of the world's most difficult places, Liberia, Sierra Leone, northern Nigeria, South Sudan, Somalia, researching, in my case, this strange phenomenon called low-cost private schools, where entrepreneurs in these poor communities create low-cost private schools that serve some of the poorest communities in the world. And I was a professor of education policy at Newcastle University when I was conducting research in this area, asking questions like, what proportion of poor families use these schools? And it was indeed the majority, 70% or so in urban areas. Asking questions like, how good are these schools compared to the government schools? And quasi-experiments and randomized controlled trials showed that they were superior. They delivered superior outcomes for children. And what is their business model? And yes, it was a sustainable one, depending like any other private enterprise, totally on fee income. So it satisfied this phenomenon of low-cost private education, satisfied the holy grails of development, sustainability and scalability. And taking unpaid leave from the university, I co-created some chains of these low-cost private schools, one in Ghana, a federation in Nigeria called AFED, the Association of Formidable Education Development, which went on to have 5,000 schools and 1 million children. I've even created a relatively low-cost private school up in the north of England. You can Google it, the Independent Grammar School, Durham. So it has been immensely rewarding, my career in education. And the field of education, I think, for us all is one of profound significance, for it holds the power, doesn't it, to transform lives, empower individuals, and shape the future of our society. As educators, we have to acknowledge and understand that we hold almost a unique position of influence and responsibility. We have a power to inspire curiosity, ignite imaginations, and instill a love of learning that can last a lifetime. We have the opportunity to empower our students to reach their full potentials, to cultivate their talents, and to foster in them a sense of confidence and self-worth. But with this privilege comes great responsibility. We have the power to shape their minds and hearts, the minds and hearts of the next generation, to nurture their dreams and to guide them towards a brighter future. I know you education graduates are at different points in your careers. Some of you are starting out. Some of you are moving into senior leadership. I'm probably coming towards the end of mine. No, not that I plan to retire anytime soon, but nonetheless, I'm at a different place in yours. And as one progresses through one's career, and particularly as one stands in positions of authority, whether as head teacher, head of subject, or indeed vice-chancellor, one does come up with themes and theses by which to live one's life. And let me share 4 of mine and see how they relate to those that you're creating to live your life by. One of my first themes that I think about frequently is we're not here for very long on this planet. When we're young or when we're at different stages in our career, it seems as though life is stretching out ahead almost forever. But when you look back on life, it seems such a short time that we have. And Pink Floyd, in the Dark Side of the Moon album, and you can immediately identify how old I am if I tell you that came out when I was a teenager. The track Time puts it particularly well for me, and I'll read it, the lyrics here. Ticking away the moments that make up a dull day, you fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way. And you are young, and life is long, and there is time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. Don't miss that starting gun. And remember, more importantly, it's often you who have to fire the starting gun for the opportunities that can come your way. And this is true at whatever stage you are in your life, whether at the beginning or moving forward in your career. But second, so the 4 points. Second, do live with being happy, not as one of your goals, but certainly as one of your achievements. And do recognize that family and friends are so precious and such precious vehicles, if you like, in which to find happiness. John Lennon, the Beatle who was so tragically murdered when he was aged only 40, he told the story, when I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment. Now I realize they didn't understand life. And third, my third point, don't let failure get in your way. You're going to start on ventures, whether they're in your schools, in management, in business, entrepreneurship, in relationships even. And you're going to fail. So when things go wrong, as they will, in the words of the song first sung by Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, when things go wrong, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again. So many of the great people we recognize have had times of failure, and they've learned from those failures. I've failed so often in my life and in things I've set out to do, and I learn well. I'm a quick learner, and I've never made the same mistakes again. I've just made different mistakes. And Winston Churchill, he knew about failure more than most successful people, and he said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. Finally, do try to change the world, whether you're young, you're older, whatever stage you're at in your career. This desire, I think, is a legitimate and noble desire to change the world, to make it a better place than when we arrived in it. And on this, I think Mahatma Gandhi famously told us to first be the change that you wish to see in the world. What does that mean? We must reflect on who we are and what we need to change about ourselves before we attempt to change the world. But by doing so, we can change the world. So to conclude, there is a saying, give the ones you love wings to fly, roots to come back, and reasons to stay. And this reminds me of our own motto at the University of Buckingham, Alice proprius volans, in Latin, in English, flying on our own wings. I'd like to think that through the work for your degrees, of whatever nature you're graduating today with, we've helped you to get your wings, your experiences, your your qualifications. But also, we do want to be a strong part of your roots too. We want to give you reasons to come back, to stay physically and metaphorically. So do see yourselves as part of a growing international family of alumni of the University of Buckingham. Never underestimate the influence you will have as educators, and always remember that with your knowledge comes responsibility. So I extend my deepest gratitude to all family and friends, staff and mentors who have guided you on your journeys here. And congratulations, my warmest, deepest, heartiest congratulations to you all for all you've achieved and all you will be acknowledged for achieving today. And I wish you well on the next stages of your life. Thank you so much.
Chancellor, Professor John Drew, University Orator, will present Dr. Laszlo Lang for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Chancellor, it is an honour to present Dr. Laszlo Lang to you for the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Dr. Lang graduated in 1978 from the Karl Marx University of Economics, now known as Corvinus University of Budapest, and completed his doctorate at the prestigious Hungarian Academy of Sciences in 1985. Until the early 1990s, he conducted advanced research and lectured extensively on topics relating to global politics and geoeconomics at independent research organizations in Hungary and in America, notably at the Institute for East-West Security Studies in New York, a think tank which between 1980 and 2021 functioned as a means of addressing areas of political dispute across the Iron Curtain. Important writings from this period dealt with topics as diverse and resonant as the political economy of East-West relations, the poor-rich, an inquiry into the dialectics of capital abundancy and underdevelopment in the Middle East, bourgeois and Marxist theories on oil prices, and the relationship between economic change and social cohesion in Eastern Europe. Hungary had been a member of the Warsaw Pact since 1955, and during its regime change to a thriving democracy achieved in the so-called negotiated revolution of 1989, Laszlo Lang was deeply involved as acting head of the Hungarian Institute of International Affairs, a non-profit economic organization within the ownership of the Hungarian state. Here he established a highly regarded platform for international contacts and foreign policy discussions of the emerging new political forces in Eastern Europe and beyond. He held a number of high-level board positions in Hungarian state banks before privatization, as well as in the country's airlines and railroads. And his banking career climaxed between 1997 and 2000, when as the CEO of a large commercial bank in Vienna, in accordance with the owner's strategic goal, he successfully liquidated an organization with internationally dispersed assets of over €500 million. His superb management skills were put to use once again when, from 2003, he was appointed first as CEO and then as rector of IBS, International Business School Budapest, a private university in Hungary's cosmopolitan capital city, with a branch also in Vienna and a student body of 1,300. He served in that role ever since, turning it from a local to an internationally oriented and globally recognized institution. Chancellor, in close-knit, validation-based collaboration with UK universities, and in particular with us, the University of Buckingham, Dr. Lang has created an academically and financially strong, agile provider of dual undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate degree programs for students from some 80 countries of the world. In his well-known story for grown-up children, Animal Farm, George Orwell famously noted that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. We might say something similar about university partnerships and collaborations. In theory, they are all equally important, but some are just more equally important than others. And this is certainly the case with Buckingham and IBS. All my colleagues here in Buckingham, whether from the School of Business, from Registry, or from our own Collaborations Department, hold IBS in exceptionally high regard for its administrative efficiency, its educational standards, its evident care for its students. Now, such things flow from the top, as well as from the rank and file. And when, if Dr. Lang will forgive me, one has been rector for as many years as he has, we have no hesitation in attributing this degree of excellence to his inspiring leadership. His own senior team value his ability to maintain the aura of a strong-handed leader while remaining underneath empathetic, generous, and sensitive to colleagues in need of any kind of help. All that, and I'm told, unbeatable at trivia quizzes with a fantastic memory for facts, names, and a great planner and a host of Christmas dinners. His particular experience in many areas that Buckingham values highly, in business, in finance, in economic affairs, in political analysis, has fostered a far-sighted and innovative approach to education. And as an educational entrepreneur and thinker, it is particularly appropriate that he should receive his degree at this ceremony for graduates of our own innovative School of Education. He has prophetic words for the university sector, however, which ought not, he believes, to rest on its academic laurels. In an interview only a few months ago, he points out that all over the world, higher education is a highly conservative industry, and its conservatism in the face of unprecedented technological change may be its undoing if universities continue to act as though they can muddle through unaffected. The future, this is a quotation, the future may look rather like what has already happened with foreign language education, he argues. If you can prove your knowledge and skills, you can get a certificate regardless of where or how you acquired them. Individuated learning is becoming more and more in demand, with AI, artificial intelligence, only accelerating this trend. And in this vision of a radically altered role for universities globally, higher education institutions will transform, Dr. Lang suggests, into educational support institutions and facilitators, giving students far more freedom to choose when and what to study. For the time being, higher education merely teaches the concept of creative destruction. Students are not yet encouraged to experience it. Dr. Lang warns us that this will result in the creative destruction of the global higher education system as we know it, which first must come to an end before something better, more creative, more liberating may arise from it. With that arresting image, Chancellor, of the 21st century university sector rising to new life like the phoenix from the ashes of its own predecessor, a phoenix surely related somewhere along the line to the Buckingham swan, I call upon Dr. Laszlo Lang to come forward to receive his degree.
Dr. Lang will now reply to convocation.
Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, Dr. Robinson. Thank you very much. I am humbled and I'm grateful. In return, I can't offer you much, but a word of caution, again. Without wishing to be the prototypical East European killjoy, I must say that the first happy 800 years of university are over. We are on the verge of major structural upheavals that may destroy parts or much of the university as we know it. The reasons for this are partly of our own making. Firstly, there has been a significant decline in the relevance of university degrees in the job market. If you ask graduates what percentage of their university education they use out in the marketplace, you will get shockingly low figures, especially in liberal arts, business and economics, and the like. Education is an exception to the rule. Second, our research output, which was the condition sine qua non, the prerequisite for university excellence in past decades, has failed to boost global innovation and productivity. Corporate labs, rather than universities, delivered the most important advances. Life sciences might be an exception. Thirdly, if we acknowledge that social inequalities increased dramatically both within and between nations in recent decades, it would be very difficult to argue that universities did their best and most to prevent this from happening. And even if none of this had had the devastating impact it does have, fresh developments in technology, the environment, and society are hitting the fan. Change, most of the time, is destructive. But in the desolate slots it leaves behind, new creativity and innovation may flourish. If not for independent actors like the University of Buckingham, who ought to be leading the way in new inventiveness and creative adaptation? Indeed, we must make every effort to keep our colleges and universities from going down in the frighteningly rising tide of global idiocy, ignorance, and stupidity. We need to take action. If only for the sake of my 9-year-old daughter, who is sitting in the first row today and who has yet lots of years to spend learning and growing in some of the few remaining colleges and universities of the world. Let our institutions be among those that survive and add value. Thank you very much.
Chancellor, I call upon Professor Barnaby Lennon, Dean of the Faculty of Education, to present candidates for awards of the University of Buckingham in Education.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see you, and thank you for coming here today, and particularly those of you who have come from a very long way away. I know that we've got candidates here from Nigeria and Cairo, and no doubt many other parts of the world. Well done for making it. So, Chancellor, I present to you the graduates in education, starting with a degree in Doctor of Philosophy in Education, a student who was supervised by the Vice-Chancellor and whose thesis was entitled Views of Private Primary School Head Teachers in Somalia about what it means to be a professional head teacher. Abdishakur Tara. For the degree of Master of Arts in Education, Melissa Belk with distinction. Teresa Bennett Morgan. Hayley Brooks Lampard with distinction. Zora Duwai. Dominique Dyer. Caroline Oliver. Carly Riddock. Sophie Ann Toohill. For the degree of Master of Arts in Education, Inclusive Educational Leadership, Holly Johnson with distinction. For the degree of Master of Arts Education, Evidence-Based Practice, Florence Donaldson with distinction. Deepen Nathwani. Nastasia Said. For the degree of Master of Arts in Education, Leading Sport in Schools, Jason Button. Jessica Byrne with distinction. Rachel Ford. Alan Fraser. Liam Hirrell. Adam Jones with distinction. Charles Knightley. Martin Langston. Matthew Males. Anya McKenna. Ryan Walker with distinction. For the degree of Master of Arts in Education, Teaching and Learning, John Watson. Martin Devine. For the award of Master of Education in Educational Leadership and Management, Muna Said Elmi with distinction. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Education, School-Centred Initial Teacher Training, Amina Begum. For the award of Postgraduate Certificate in Education and Apprenticeship Level 6 in PGCE QTS Apprenticeship, Hugo Cullen with distinction in both parts. Jayana Baxter with distinction in both parts. Hannah Whelan with distinction. Pippa Pearson. Lily Anderson with distinction in both parts. Luke Kingham with distinction in both parts. Leslie Edge. Emily Breitling with distinction. Rachel Rose Carragher with distinction in both parts. Alison Cobb with distinction in both parts. Effie Gooney with distinction. Emma Saunders. Darcy Skelton with distinction in both parts. Charles Warburton with distinction in both parts. Esther Tickell with distinction in both parts. Mazzy Westwood with distinction in both parts. Ryan Borgie with distinction in both parts. Hannah Loveland with distinction. Sophie Tebbs. Holly Town with distinction. Shannon Louise Mayer with distinction. Emily Cullen. Joseph Woolley with distinction in both parts. For the award of the Professional Graduate Certificate in Education in PGC QTS Apprenticeship, Reuben Elliott. For the award of Apprenticeship Level 6 in QTS Postgraduate Teacher Apprenticeship, Elisa Bradbury. For the award of the Postgraduate Certificate in Education through School-Centred Initial Teacher Training, India Adams Burnett. For the posthumous degree of Master of Arts in Education Leading Sport in Schools, we award Gareth McComb in absentia. Chancellor, that concludes my part of the presentation.
Chancellor, I call upon Professor Harriet Dunbar-Morris, Pro-Vice-Chancellor Academic, to present candidates for the awards of the University of Buckingham.
Chancellor, I present to you the graduates of Learner. For the degree of Master of Science in Neurosurgery, Shivame Chowdhury. Costas Fantis. Kirby Lloyd Upshaw. Chancellor, I present to you the graduates of National College of Education, Chloe Bush. John McDermott. For the degree of Master of Education in Educational Leadership, Melissa Shepherd with distinction. Emily Thompson with distinction. Chancellor, I present to you awards from the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. For the award of Master of Arts by Research in Philosophy, Henry Cochrane. Chancellor, I present to you awards from the School of Computing. For the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours in Computing, Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Dan Migabo. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation.
Chancellor, as is now tradition, we're going to interrupt the order of proceedings for the Vice-Chancellor to deliver a few words.
Yes, this really took you by surprise, Dame Mary, didn't it, I think? But we're coming to the end of a couple of days of wonderful graduation ceremonies. I really value you being here today, and as Barnaby Lennon said, thank you for coming from wherever you've come. I want to thank a few people quickly: Emma Turner, Tracy Miller, Matt Cross, Philippa Wyman, and Tina Santonicito, the venue managers for these events. I want to thank Heidi Stops, Swan Bearer, and much else behind the scenes, Chris Maskell and earlier Rishan Khatri for being the mace bearers, Brooke Jones in the marquee, Lorna Richards, Claire Wattam, and Dominic Radnall for their marshal roles, Olivia Jeffs for support at each ceremony, and Tasha Horwood today, Hayley Stevenson and Angomia for security, and Lizzie Glover, events manager. Thank all these people for making this all possible. Let's give them all a round of applause. But above all, I want to thank Dame Mary Archer. Now, Dame Mary Archer is a distinguished scientist. Until very recently was the distinguished chair of the Science Museum Group and is very eminent in her field. And what I want to say is, for the years she's been here as Chancellor of the university, the figurehead of the university, she has been committed and dedicated to all that we do. She has not missed one of these events. Even during lockdown, she and I think the registrar, were speaking to an empty audience, but we felt we should continue the traditions. And I have felt so supported, and I enjoyed her commitment to me and to the university, that it's really, we thank you so much, Dame Mary. You've got so much else to do. I know there are other committees and reviews you're undertaking for government soon. Thank you so much, I think, from the bottom of all our hearts, for coming here, being dedicated to this university, and being, as I said in my opening remarks, a much-loved Chancellor. So please, Dame Mary. Dame Mary, Dame Mary.
The Chancellor will now conclude this ceremony.
Well, first of all, Vice-Chancellor, thank you so much. You do throw me when you deviate from our carefully prepared scripts, but that was such a delightful thing, and I also echo your thanks to all those who have supported and enabled these celebratory events of the last couple of days. It is an honour and a privilege to be the Chancellor of this unique university. So now this ceremony is drawing towards its close. May I be the first, actually, if not the, yes, I think the first, to congratulate our new graduates and wish you good luck in the next stage of your careers, flying on your own wings, as our motto has it. As you leave the university, you will take with you, wherever you go and throughout your life, the knowledge you have acquired here of educational theory and practice, equipped with the skills and knowledge to rescue young minds from the pain and tyranny of ignorance, flying on their own wings. May I also say what a singular pleasure it was for me to confer an honorary doctorate on Dr. Laszlo Lang, in recognition of his development of the International Business School in Budapest and its important and valued collaboration with this university. Dr. Lang, your words of warning have been very much heeded here. Now, graduates, we have rightly applauded you for your achievements, but sitting behind me on the platform are the faculty who've supported, enabled, maybe even very occasionally scolded you through your course. And sitting here are friends and family, some of which will have taken on substantial additional responsibilities as you buckled down to your books instead of cooking dinner or whatever it might have been. So, shall we hear it for them from you? This ceremony is now concluded.
Please be upstanding.